course, as the world turns, General Hospital, All My Children, the drama continues with Netflix versus Paramount in their never-ending quest to get Warner Brothers. Now, of course, as you know, Netflix has technically won the bidding war, but Paramount's not giving up the ghost. They keep trying to do things and doing what losers do and embarrassing themselves. And now they're going to try to sue them because they're little fucking babies. And what a pathetic excuse of a absolutely desperate, embarrassing company Paramount is making itself out to be these days. But that aside, in the midst of all this stuff, Netflix has looked at it apparently and said, well, maybe we should change up our offer a little bit just to really cement it in. And according to CNBC now, if you guys remember, Netflix's offer was mostly cash, but also a bunch in stock, that they would give the current shareholders stock in it. It's generally considered more preferable if it's all cash. So apparently, according to this report, Netflix is changing their offer or looking at changing their offer to all cash. And that could be very significant. And here's why. This comes to us from CNBC, writes, Bloomberg first reported this week that Netflix was considering adjusting its offer to be all cash. Now, why would they do that? Here it is. An amended offer would allow Warner Brothers Discovery shareholders to vote to approve the deal on a faster timeline. Faber reported, citing sources familiar with the matter. Under the current deal that includes stock, shareholders are expected to vote on the deal in spring or summer. Faber reported, deals comprised of stock typically mean more financials and more accounting need to be issued as a part of seeking approvals, which requires more time and expense, Faber added. If Netflix were to make its offer all cash, get this, the shareholder vote could move up as early as February or early March, Faber reported. The change would come as Paramount Skydance has turned up the heat on its hostile push. It's completely humiliating themselves to acquire all of Warner Brothers Discovery's business. All right. So, I remember somebody asked last week as we were talking about the developments of all this is like, does Netflix do anything to try to reposition themselves in response to what Paramount's doing? And it seems like this is a pretty significant thing, but more significant is this. It becomes much more difficult, not impossible, but it becomes more difficult to litigate something like this if the shareholders themselves have voted on it and approved it. It's a lot easier to litigate something against a board of a company, saying, particularly one of the big, strong positions you can take is you're not acting in the best interests of your shareholders. And that's a totally legitimate route that Paramount can take. Totally legitimate. By moving up the timeline of when the shareholders themselves, the actual owners of the company, of the shareholders themselves vote, makes litigating it not impossible. Absolutely not. There are still avenues, but it makes it more difficult because you can't say, well, you're not doing good by the shareholders. The shareholders voted. They had all the information. They made a decision. They're the owners. So that is actually really interesting that it could move that timeline up, and it might make it even a little bit more appealing to the shareholders themselves. Now, of course, one of the other things that's holding back and has held back and continues to hold back Paramount's bid is, besides the fact that it appears that they're no more trustworthy than rats in your wall, is the fact that they don't really trust their financing. Warner Brothers has said that publicly. They're not really feel secure on what Paramount's financing is. Now, of course, a big chunk of Paramount's financing is being guaranteed through Daddy Ellison, David Ellison's daddy, Larry Ellison over at Oracle. And, well, here's the thing. If you look at Oracle's stock, since they announced that they were going to try to get Warner Brothers, they have lost, get this, over $336 billion. Let me say that number again. Since the time that they announced that they were going to try to get Warner Brothers, Oracle's value has dropped $336 billion. They've lost 33% of their value. Now, I'm not representing here that that's all as a result of them trying to go after Warner Brothers. There's AI issues. There's some litigation issues. There's a bunch of different things. I'm not sitting here telling you that this is all because of this. It's part of it. It's part of it. And so I'm sure Warner Brothers, and this is just me speculating, of course, but I'm sure Warner Brothers is also looking at this and saying, you guys have lost over $300 billion in value in the last couple of months. You'll forgive us if we don't feel totally secure in your financing in trying to put this deal together. And if they, again, as Warner Brothers stated, if things go wrong with your financing, it's going to cost us. And we just don't feel comfortable with what you're doing. Now, there are ways Paramount could restructure it, increase their deal, come up with more solid financing that might make it more appealing to Warner Brothers down the line. And we shouldn't exclude that as a possibility and become much more legitimate. Maybe it does. But again, this move to move up the shareholder vote and to make it easier for them to get those approvals is a pretty key strategy. Rob, I still think at some point Netflix is actually going to increase their dollar value. I think they will. I think just to kind of put a nail in it and say, okay, not only are we going to make it all cash, and not only are we going to move up the timeline for the vote, we'll increase our bid as well. I think that'll happen at some point just to solidify it. But the game's not over. The game's not over.
Still afoot.
There are still avenues here that Paramount can explore, some legitimate and some sneaky little rat ways. Hopefully it'll be the legitimate ones where, they could ultimately prevail, but Netflix just made a move that's going to make it tougher for that. Anyway, you saw this news about Netflix making this move to an all cash offer. What do you think?
Well, I think they kind of had to do that. They're now fighting the good fight, so to speak. I can't believe that I'm now on the side of Netflix when I think Netflix has the best interests of Warner Brothers at heart as its own.
I have very begrudgingly been convinced of that.
100%.
It's not how I felt 3 months ago, but I have been won over a little bit.
And I'm talking to people internally at Warner Brothers. They've sort of given me that sense as well. Because what does Netflix do? It produces movies and shows. That's what it does. That's all it does. That's all it does.
Mostly shows.
Mostly shows. But Warner Brothers is whereas Paramount seems to have other agendas beyond that. So to me, look, at the end of the day, John, I just want to get great shows and great movies. Continued to get great shows and great movies. I want HBO quality programming, and I want to watch the kind of movies that Warner Brothers put out in 2025, whether it was Companion, whether it was Sinners, whether it was Weapons, whether it was one battle after another. Let's hope that happens. I don't even know what Paramount's producing this year, and they don't own Warner Brothers. I have no idea. They're making a Jack Ryan movie, which I want to see, but I mean, come on, man. But I think that it's really shrewd what they're doing. They did what they had to do. They're going to up their cash offer. They're going to make it, like this article said, easier for the shareholders to ratify this idea. Kind of reminds me of like Godfather 3, when Michael Corleone's trying to get International Immobiliare. And the Swedish kind says, it's just business. Oh, yeah? You want to do business with me? I'll do business with you. But I think it's a good thing, and I do think you're right. I think they're going to have to up their offer as well.
Yeah.
It's going to be an all-cash offer that's got to go up, 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 up.
And again, I just wish Paramount right now would, the Elsons just got Paramount. I still think there's potential there for them. I just wish they would focus on just doing Paramount, because all the Ellisons are doing right now is shaming and embarrassing the legacy of Paramount. They are literally just bringing shame.
Well, and what are they doing with? I mean, Paramount still has to work. Skydance merged with Paramount, and where's all the great moves that they were making?
They've got a pretty pathetic lineup, 2026 lineup.
Yeah.
I mean, don't get me wrong, there's a couple of interesting looking projects in there. But anyway, as a result of them completely shaming and pissing all over the reputation of Paramount, I have canceled Paramount Plus. I don't plan on watching any Paramount movies this year. That's just me. I'm not saying anybody else should do that. That's just me. But it's going to be interesting to see how this little drama continues to unfold. Guys, we want to take a second to thank a sponsor of today's video, BetterHelp. You know, the new year doesn't require a new you, maybe just a less burdened you. Most of us carry around things like pressure, self-doubt, or that feeling that we always have to be perfect, and learning to let some of that go can make a huge difference in our lives. Therapy can help you better understand what's weighing you down by giving you an unbiased perspective on your relationships, motivations, and emotions. That's where BetterHelp comes in. See, BetterHelp connects you with quality therapists who are fully licensed in the US and follow a strict professional code of conduct. They also do the matching work for you. You fill out a short questionnaire, and with over 12 years of experience and industry-leading match rates, they usually get it right the first time. And if you ever want to switch therapists, you can do that easily from their tailored recommendations. BetterHelp is also one of the world's largest online therapy platforms, plus an average 4.9 out of 5 rating from over 1.7 million live session reviews. BetterHelp makes it easy to match online with a qualified therapist. Sign up and get 10% off at betterhelp.com/Campea. That's BetterHelp.com/Campea. Guys, the question is for you. What do you think about this move? Netflix is now finally starting to respond a little bit to some of the moves being done by Paramount. I don't think it's going to be the last one. Whatever you guys think, jump down to the comments section below and let us know your thoughts. Hey guys, thanks so much for watching this video. Make sure you like the video, leave a comment, and subscribe to our channel. And don't forget, we have a daily podcast called the John Campea Show podcast, available on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or your favorite podcasting app of choice. Go and subscribe to it today so it'll be there when you need it.